Hello, this is Angelia with today's Bible reading. I know it's been a few weeks. I hope you all had happy holidays. Ours, it was kind of mixed. We had a good Christmas, but my youngest son and his girlfriend were pregnant. They were going to announce it. They did a whole photo shoot in Nashville. And then she started bleeding and ended up in the hospital, and they say that they think there were two babies, and one was lost and the other one was a tubal. So they had to remove that one. So if you guys will go ahead and pray, for peace in that situation. We were all very excited to find out that, they were pregnant because my middle son and his fiance are, expecting in May. So, that was kind of a blow during holiday season, and so if you'll pray for them and, all of the family and friends for peace in that situation. They're still young. She's 23, he's 25, so, I know that's no consolation really, but, they still have plenty of time to have children. And thank you all for praying for the elderly people that I talk about every now and then. The one that I'm helping every other day is doing better. Their doctor put them on vitamins and iron because my husband and I had already said we felt like they were malnourished. They weren't eating properly, and they are now doing much better. They're walking better. Their eyes are clearer. They seem more cognitively aware, of what's going on. And my husband's mother is getting more confused, by the day. She can't hardly move. She had pneumonia. She was in the hospital and then in rehab over the holidays. And when they brought her back, she was still very weak. And she barely is moving, several steps in her wheelchair. She's, walks with her feet in the wheelchair like a lot of old people do. And so, if you want to continue to pray for these folks, I would appreciate that. That was our holiday season. As you see, there's still quite a mess. I have not finished cleaning up from the holiday season, but it'll get better. It'll get better. Like I said before, this is a bad view. You see my bill file and letter thing here. My little, what do you call it? It's a battery, basically, that runs, things. And then, you see my kitchen in here. And my little alarm Alexa thingy. So, the view will get better as I clean up, especially, some of this stuff on the table from Christmas and New Year's. But anyway, thanks to my prayer warriors who are praying, for my family and friends and people I work with, people I know, neighbors, pets, because, I believe prayer does make a difference. And, I'm really grateful for you all. Okay, so today's Bible reading comes from Exodus 16, the Sabbath observed. Now on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. When all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moses, then he said to them, "This is what the Lord meant. Tomorrow is a Sabbath observance, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake, and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over put aside to be kept until morning." So they put it aside until morning, as Moses had ordered, and they're talking about the manna, and it did not become foul, nor were there any worms in it, because remember before, they had kept manna over like they weren't supposed to do, and the next day it was foul and had worms in it, so, the Lord provided for the Sabbath, and once again was showing them, I'm the God of miracles, and, let it go to the next day without being foul or wormy. Moses said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the seventh day, the Sabbath, there will be none. So God was like showing him again, I'm the God of miracles. I'm going to provide for you. Trust me. And we have problems with that as humans, trusting God. And sometimes we even are questioning, like, what are you doing, God? But, that's his deal. We just have to deal. It came about on the seventh day that some of the people went out together, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my instructions? Because there's always some in a crowd, isn't there? There's always some. Even though the rules say this, they're like, oh, but I wanted to do this. I was going to do this. So there's always sketch people in the world, unfortunately. Always has been, always probably will be. See, the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore, he gives you bread for 2 days on the 6th day. Remain every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. There are people who really don't leave their home on the Sabbath. I know my mother-in-law doesn't believe you should go into a store or gas station or anything on the Sabbath, because that means you're making those people work. And then you're guilty of them having to work on the Sabbath. So, everybody has their own thoughts on that. So the people rested on the 7th day. The house of Israel named it manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and its taste was like wafers with honey. And I've heard some nasty scholars say it was probably quail poop, that the quails came in, on the camp, and then at night, and then in the morning this was quail poop. I think that's disgusting, and, even if it was, God purified it and made it bread for the folks. I don't think you could actually bake bread with quail poop. I'm not sure about that. Now, I know coriander seed can be added to bread to make it not as unhealthy for you. So, Then Moses said, this is what the Lord has commanded. Let an omer full of it be kept throughout your generations, that they may see the bread that I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. Moses said to Aaron, take a jar and put an omer full of manna in it. And my husband wanted to know what that was, so he looked that up, and it says in here, later on I'm going to read to you, omer is a tenth of ephah, and ephah is a bushel. So, an omer is a tenth of a bushel, so that's why it was in a jar. It probably was not that much to begin with. As the Lord commanded, Moses and Aaron placed it before the testimony to be kept. The sons of Israel ate the manna 40 years. Can you imagine? Don't complain, if you're eating leftovers. I had leftovers for lunch. I like leftovers for the first day. After that, no, I'm not doing it. But, these people had to eat the same food for 40 years. So I imagine there were quite a few recipes that came out of that. Add honey to it, add this spice, add that spice, add this, whatever they could come up with. Because, eat the same bread for 40 years would probably, make anybody tired of it, honestly. Until they came to an inhabited land. They ate the manna until they came to the border at the land of Canaan. Now an omer is a tenth of an ephah. So that's what I just told you about that. Let's see what our biblical scholars have to say about this. Let's see. The provision of manna on 6 days only, but none on the 7th, was a weekly lesson on the nature of the Sabbath as a different day. And I believe it is a different day, and you should honor it as a different day. And again, it depends on your calendar that you go by. Our calendars here start on the Sunday, but traditional, if you go back to Rome, you go on to Monday, And other calendars have Monday as being the first day of the week and Sunday being the seventh day of the week. And that's how we traditionally came up with the Sabbath being on Sunday. But because the because the calendars have changed, a lot of folks have decided that Saturday, you got the Seventh-day Adventists and other people who decide Saturday is the Sabbath day. So I'm going to tell you, God knows intentions a lot more than, the rote way of doing things. So the important thing, I believe, is that you keep the Sabbath in the way that He would like you to keep the Sabbath. So it taught the people to keep the Sabbath properly. See, that's, I think, the important thing. And acted as a challenge to obey God's commands. Because, like I said, He was letting you know He's going to take care of you. He's got you. And if you just do what He tells you, things are going to work out. Manna, the arrival of the quails in much quantity, was totally overshadowed by the arrival of manna the next morning. Despite the different descriptions given for its form and taste, the name chosen for it derived from the question they asked. Manna was an older form of their question, what is it? The psalmist referred to manna as the food from heaven and bread of angels, which rained down after God had opened the windows of heaven. Now see, and they're quoting Psalms here. So they're talks about, it coming down from the sky, like, then there's hoarfrost that, some cultures talk about. So some people say, it came in that manner, like a frost that covered the ground. So natural explanations for the manna, such as lichen growing on rocks or instinct excreted granules on tamarisk thickets, are totally inadequate to explain its presence in sufficient quantity on the ground under the dew every day, except the Sabbath for the next 40 years. So there you go. All these people coming up with these little suggestions, that it's this, that, or the other thing, can't answer for the fact that it was in a large enough quantity to feed the nation of Israel for 40 years every day, and that you got double on your 6th day and none on your 7th. So, they're overlooking the miracle to try and make sense of it. To satisfy every family's hunger, it was supernaturally produced and supernaturally sustained to last for the Sabbath. So, you can't explain that away as this, that, or the other thing. Place it before the Lord. Provision was made for memorializing the giving of the manna. When the tabernacle was finally constructed, the pot of manna was placed inside the ark. The Ark of the Covenant, the Indiana Jones thing. But, that and Aaron's blooming staff and the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments were what was supposedly in the Ark of the Covenant. Succeeding generations would be reminded, when they came for worship, of the faithfulness of the Lord in caring for His people. So, this is the first miracle, that showed He's going to provide for you. Now, some people would say, and I agree with that the cloud of smoke and the pillar of fire were miracles, and the fact that, the Moses and Aaron did the signs for Pharaoh were also miracles. But a lot of people cite this as the first miracle that God did for the nation of Israel to show them that He would provide for them. Again, I'm not going to argue, but I don't believe it was. That's my opinion. So anyway, that is the story of the Sabbath observed. Amen. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this word so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. The link for that is in my posts. That's all for now. Until next time.